The noose bit into my neck like a lover's betrayal, the drop yanking me into eternity with a crack that echoed louder than Dad's final words. Alina's the black sheep, the one who couldn't hack it, who dragged this family through the mud with her failures, he'd boomed from that podium, the crowd's laughter slicing deeper than any blade. But as the world faded to black, a cruel joke twisted in my gut. I hadn't failed. He'd buried the truth that would have toppled his empire. And now, in the void, time rewound like a glitch in the Matrix, spitting me back into my 28-year-old body, 3 months before the gala, with his voice still ringing in my ears. I gasped awake in my cramped Brooklyn apartment, the kind of walk-up where the radiator clanks like it's auditioning for a horror flick. And for a split second, I thought it was just another nightmare. But the calendar on my phone, July 15th, 2024, stared back accusingly, 3 months shy of that godforsaken October night. My hands flew to my throat, smooth and unmarked. No rope burns, no finality. Holy shit. I'd done it. Or whatever cosmic force had decided I deserved a do-over. The last life ended in a haze of pain and pills chased with vodka. My body crumpling in that same shitty apartment after Dad's speech went viral, turning me into the punchline of every water cooler chat from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. But this time, I wasn't jumping. This time, I was hunting. Revenge isn't a straight shot. It's a labyrinth of what-ifs and half-truths. And mine started with the man who'd raised me on promises of legacy, only to torch it all for his ego. Dad, Richard Harlan. The silver fox of Harlan Dynamics. A defense contractor raking in billions on government contracts for drones and surveillance tech, was the king of boardrooms. The guy who schmoozed senators over steak at Peter Luger. To the world, he was unbreakable. A self-made titan from Queens who clawed his way up. To me, he was the architect of my undoing. I'd slaved as his junior exec for 8 years, crunching numbers on deals that kept half of DC in power, all while he dangled the VP spot like a carrot. Prove yourself, kiddo, he'd say, clapping my shoulder with that alligator grin. But prove what? That I could swallow the dirt he shoveled? The betrayal hit like a drone strike, precise and devastating. 6 months before the speech, I'd uncovered the rod in his crown jewel, Project Shadowveil, a black-budget AI system sold to the Pentagon that wasn't just predictive analytics. No, it was rigged to fabricate evidence, framing whistleblowers as terrorists to silence them. I'd found the logs, buried in encrypted drives during a late-night audit. Civilians dead in botched raids. Innocents labeled threats because they asked too many questions. And Dad? He knew. Hell, he'd greenlit it, pocketing kickbacks from lobbyists who greased the wheels. I'd confronted him in his corner office overlooking the Hudson, voice shaking as I slid the drive across his desk. This ends now, Dad. We reported. He laughed, actually laughed, leaning back in his leather throne like I was pitching a bad joke. Alina, sweetheart, you think this is Little League? This is the game. You blow the whistle. You don't just sink the company, you sink us. Your mother, your brother, they'd be collateral. Then the knife. And you'd be the villain. The disgruntled daughter chasing headlines. No one believes the screw-up who couldn't close a deal without crying to HR. He'd fired me on the spot, citing irreconcilable differences, and buried the evidence under NDAs thicker than his conscience. I spiraled jobless, blackballed in the industry, whispers following me like smoke. By the gala, I was a ghost. And his speech, it was the eulogy.
But now,
Reborn in this sweat-soaked dawn, I had the receipts. The drive was still in my laptop's hidden partition, untouched by time's reset. My first move wasn't dramatic, it was surgical. Coffee black as my soul. I fired up my MacBook and started mapping the web, LinkedIn for allies, dark web forums for dirt on Harlan Dynamic skeletons. Mom, elegant, distant Evelyn, had always played the dutiful wife, hosting galas and turning a blind eye to Dad's late nights. She'd known about the affairs, the offshore accounts, but the shadow veil? That was her blind spot. Or so she claimed when I begged for help post-firing. Brother Jake, the golden boy VP, was Dad's mini-me, slick suits, Ivy League smirk, and a habit of poaching my ideas. He'd toasted me at family dinners with that patronizing, "You'll get there, sis," while funneling my reports straight to Dad's shredder. I couldn't touch them yet. Revenge needs foundation, not fireworks. So I played normal, updated my resume, hit the gym to burn off the phantom ache in my neck. Even called Mom for a catch-up lunch at Le Bernardine, where the lobster bisque costs more than my rent. She air-kissed me over the white linens, her Botox smile unwavering. "Alina, darling, Richard mentions you're freelancing? That's so brave in this economy."
brave. Right.
I sipped my Chardonnay, probing gently. Her Dad's retirement gala's shaping up big. "October, right? You nervous?" She waved it off, diamonds glinting.
Oh, it'll be fine.
"Your father's earned his spotlight. Jake's handling the speeches, keeps it family focused. Family focused." The word curdled in my mouth. Jake, with his trust fund polish and zero spine, scripting Dad's swan song. I excused myself to the ladies' room, splashed water on my face, and stared into the mirror. The woman looking back had fire in her eyes now, not defeat. Back at the table, I dropped the bomb casual as confetti. "Tell Jake to watch his back. I hear whispers about Shadow Veil, Pentagon audits incoming." Mom's fork froze midair, color draining from her cheeks. "What on earth?" I shrugged. "All innocence. Just rumors."
Mom.
"But hey, if it's nothing, no harm. Seed planted. Let it fester." Weeks blurred into a calculated grind.
By day.
I tempied at a boutique consulting firm in Midtown, low profile enough to fly under Harlan radar, high stakes enough to rebuild my network. Nights, I was a ghost in the machine, hacking basics from online tutorials. Thank you, Kali Linux. Cross-referencing Shadowveil docs with FOIA requests disguised as academic queries. Turns out, I wasn't the only one Dad had burned. A retired analyst named Marcus Hale, drummed out 5 years back for insubordination, had a blog buried under pseudonyms, ranting about ghost projects that framed patriots. I reached out via encrypted email. "I know what Shadowveil did to you. It did worse to me." Coffee. Marcus was a grizzled vet in his 50s, face like weathered leather, meeting me at a dive in Hell's Kitchen that smelled of stale fries and regret. Over black coffee that could strip paint, he spilled, "Your old man sold souls for stock ticks."
Kid.
I lost my clearance. My pension, hell. My wife thought I was paranoid till the divorce papers hit. He had fragments, emails, schematics that dovetailed my drive like puzzle pieces. But blowing it open? You'd need ironclad proof and a death wish. Harlan's got friends in high places. I leaned in, voice steel. "I already died once. Marcus." "What's a sequel?" We became unlikely partners. Him the grizzled mentor. Me the vengeful prodigy. I fed him Harlan gossip from insider sources, okay? Jake's drunken voicemails I'd started soliciting at forced family brunches. And he schooled me in whistleblower tradecraft. Meanwhile, I needled the family fault lines. At a Labor Day barbecue in the Hamptons, Dad's sprawling estate with infinity pools and egos to match, I played the prodigal daughter, laughing at Jake's yacht stories while slipping barbs. Congrats on that Shadow Veil extension.
Bro.
Dad must be proud, another billion for the war chest. His eyes narrowed over his ribeye. Where'd you hear that? I winked. Birds sing in Brooklyn.
Jakey. Dad.
Ruddy from Scotch pulled me aside later. That paternal pat on the back laced with warning. Good to see you bouncing back, Alina. But stick to your lane, consulting's no place for Harlan blood. I met his gaze, the one that once made me feel small, and smiled slow.
Oh.
I'm in my lane, Dad. Just paving it wider. He chuckled, oblivious, but I saw the flicker, doubt, the first crack in his armor. As October loomed, the tension coiled like a spring. Mom called twice, voice edged with hysteria. Alina, what's this about audits? Richard's furious, thinks you're stirring pots. I feigned concern. Me?
Mom.
I'd never. But if there's fire. Jake went radio silent, his LinkedIn glowing with exciting transitions. Marcus and I compiled the dossier, 200 pages of redacted hell, anonymized for drop to The Intercept and a Senate Oversight Committee. The plan, leak pre-gala. Let the press swarm the event like locusts. But revenge isn't just exposure, it's personal. I wanted Dad's spotlight to blind him before the fall. The gala night arrived like a fever dream, grand ballroom at the plaza. Chandeliers dripping crystals like guilty tears. Air thick with Chanel and Schadenfreude. I slipped in via a +1 from a temp gig contact. Black sheath dress hugging curves I'd starved into sharpness. Hair pinned like a crown of thorns. The crowd was a who's who, senators in tuxes, execs with Rolexes ticking like bombs, Mom gliding in sapphire silk, Jake preening at the bar.
Dad.
Center stage in his bespoke Tom Ford, mic in hand, basking as the orchestra swelled. I found a shadowed alcove, phone buzzing with Marcus's text, dossier sent. Check your feeds. Twitter, X, whatever, was igniting. Harlan scandal trending. Leaks hitting like grenades. Whispers rippled through the room as guests refreshed screens. Faces paling. Jake bolted for Dad, murmuring frantic. Mom clutched her pearls, eyes darting for exits. Then the MC called Dad up. The applause thundered, but fractured some cheers, some coughs masking scrolls. He cleared his throat, that booming baritone steady at first. 40 years at Harlan Dynamics, building America strong. From the boardroom to the battlefield. Pause for nods. I've got a family that's my rock, Evelyn. My queen, Jake. My heir apparent. Murmurs swelled. He plowed on, sweat beading.
And Alina.
Well, we've had our challenges. She's charted her own path. Away from the family business. Independent, that's the word. Fiercely so. The room hung on it, the elephant trumpeting. In my old life, this was the pivot to insult, the viral gut punch.
But now?
I stepped forward, heels clicking like gunfire, voice amplified by sheer will. Actually, Dad, let's talk independence. Gasps rippled. Security twitched, but Jake waved them off. Confusion etching his Botox. I climbed the steps. Mike snatched from the MC like it was mine by right. Independence is what you taught me.
Right?
By firing me for asking questions about Shadowvale, the AI that framed innocence. Killed by proxy. All for your bottom line. The room detonated. Phones whipped out. Flashes popping. Dad's face went ashen. Mouth gaping like a landed fish. Alina. What the hell? Off the stage. But I was a freight train. You buried it, Dad. The logs. The kickbacks. The lives. I died for it once, slandered. Broken. But tonight, the truth's out. Check your stocks. Behind him, the screen, meant for legacy montages, flickered to life. Hacked by Marcus. Redacted doc scrolling. Headlines screaming. Chaos erupted. Senators bolted for doors. Execs yelling into earpieces. Mom swooned into Jake's arms, wailing. Dad lunged. But I sidestepped. Mike, still hot. You call me the failure? Look in the mirror. Richard. You're the ghost now. Security swarmed, but the damage was nuclear, cameras from every outlet capturing his unraveling. The Titan toppled by his own blood. They dragged me out in cuffs, trespassing, disruption, but the squad car ride was triumphant. City lights blurring like victory confetti. By dawn, Harlan shares cratered 40%. FBI vans parked at the estate. Marcus texted, "You did it,
Kid.
clean getaway." I smiled into the rearview. Almost. The holding cell at the first precinct smelled like regret and recycled air. A concrete womb where dreams go to detox. I sat on the bench, legs crossed like I was at a spa, replaying the gala implosion on loop in my head. Dad's face, that mask of invincibility cracking into raw panic, was worth every night of grinding teeth in my old life. The cops processed me quick. No charges stuck. Just a stern, don't make this a habit. Harlan. Irony tasted like cheap bail bondsman's coffee. By 6 a.m., I was Ubering back to Brooklyn, the driver eyeing my rumpled dress like yesterday's scandal sheet. Rough night, he quipped. I laughed, throaty and real. You have no idea. Home was sanctuary and war room. I showered off the plaza's perfume, emerging in sweats to a laptop symphony, notifications exploding like 4th of July. The Intercept scoop, Harlan Dynamics Shadow AI, framing for profit, had 2 million views. My anonymous tip credited as a family insider. CNN looped gala footage. Pundits dissecting the Harlan daughters' bombshell. Twitter was a bonfire. Alina Harlan trending higher than Harlan scandal. Memes of Dad's fish face going viral. Supporters hailed me as a hero, whistleblower of the year, while trolls branded me Daddy's little saboteur, digging up my old HR complaints like grave-robbing ghouls. Let him. Exposure was the point. The noise was collateral. But revenge's afterglow fades fast, leaving the whatnext void. Dad's empire was crumbling, board emergency meetings. SSC probes looming, but the personal? That festered. A burner phone buzzed. Mom. Alina. How could you? The family's destroyed. Richard's had a heart scare, get here now. Heart scare.
Please.
The woman who'd iced me out post-firing now played victim card? I texted back. Tell him to ice it. Like you did my career. Harsh? Damn right. But the old me would have caved. Driven out to the Hamptons with apologies preloaded. New me? I blocked the number. Marcus called next. Voice gravel over static. Feds are circling. Your name's in the wind. Lay low. But we've got leverage. Pulled strings. Gotta sit down with Senator Reyes' aide tomorrow. She's gunning for defense reform. Your story's her silver bullet. Reyes, fiery Latina from Texas. The kind of Pole who quoted MLK in filibusters and made lobbyists sweat.
Perfect.
I prepped the pitch over takeout pad thai, polished slides, rehearsed sound bites. This isn't just corruption. It's a machine that erodes democracy. One false flag at a time. By midnight, exhaustion hit like a truck. But sleep brought dreams of the noose. Dad's laugh echoing. Wake-up call. Vengeance isn't cathartic, it's chronic. Next day, I cabbed to a nondescript K Street satellite office, D.C.
Light.
Without the humidity. The aide. A sharp-eyed millennial named Tara, with a septum-piercing and policy-wonk vibes, met me in a conference room that screamed government beige. Marcus hung back. Our buffer. MS. Harlan, she started. No bullshit. Your drop's seismic. But walking us through it, personally, exposes you. Why now? I leaned forward, channeling every boardroom I'd ever stormed. Because my father didn't just build drones, he built a legacy on lies. I lost everything: job, sanity, to his cover-up. Shadow veil framed Marcus here.
Cost lives.
I'm not hiding anymore. I'm testifying. Tara nodded, jotting notes. Reyes can shield you, subpoena power. Relocation if it gets hot. But expect blowback. Harlan's got tentacles. Understatement. By week's end, headlines shifted. Family feud or felony. Alina, Harlan's motive questioned. Pundits on Fox painted me as the bitter ex-employee, digging up a decade-old sorority hazing allegation I'd buried in college. MSNBC countered with courage in the crosshairs, but the doubt seeded. Was I hero or harpy? Jake struck next, unblocking to voicemail bomb. You psychotic bitch. This is war. Lawyered up yet. I saved them for the montage. The real gut punch landed Friday. A certified letter from Harlan Dynamics Counsel, demanding I cease, defamation or a face suit. Enclosed, a photo, me at 18, prom night. Dad's arm around me, beaming. Family first, always. Emotional blackmail. Vintage Richard. I shredded it, but the ache lingered. Was this payback or poison? Marcus sensed the wobble over beers at his queen's walk-up. Walls papered in conspiracy boards. Second thoughts. Kid. I swirled my IPA.
Honest.
Not on the leak. But the fallout: Mom's texts. Jake's hate. Feels like I'm nuking my own roots. He clapped my shoulder. Vet rough. Roots rot when the tree's poison. You didn't choose this, he did. Remember the drop, that crack in your neck? That's the cost of silence. He was right. Saturday. I drove to the estate. Uninvited. Unannounced. Tires crunching gravel like bones. The mansion loomed. Shutters drawn like guilty eyes. Mom answered. Gaunt in yoga pants. No makeup armor. Alina. Thank God. No hug. Just a limp handwave inside. Dad held court in the study. Oxygen mask off. Looking every year of 65. Jake paced. Phone glued to ear. Mid-snarl at PR flax. They froze when I entered. Air thickening to tar. Traitor. Jake spat first. Red-faced. Mom whimpered. Dad? He rose slow. Eyes hollowed. Sit. Alina. Let's talk. We did. 4 hours of raw reckoning. I laid it out, no accusations, just facts, the drive's timestamps, Marcus's corroboration, the live shattered. You could have stopped it,
Dad.
one call to ethics. He deflated, voice wheeze. It was bigger than us. National security, jobs, alliances. You were collateral.
Kid.
I never meant. Jake exploded. Bullshit. She torched us for spite. Mom sobbed. We could have handled it privately. Privately. The word ignited me. Like you handle my firing? Blackballed me while preaching family. Dad's hand trembled on his scotch. I protected you from the mess. But this? You've killed Harlan. I stood.
Cold. No. Dad.
Your lies did. I'm testifying Monday. Say hi to the grand jury. Jake lunged. You ungrateful. But Dad barked him down. At the door, his whisper stopped me. Why, Alina? After everything. I turned, tears hot. Because everything was a lie. And I deserve the truth. The drive back was catharsis, wept out at 80 on the lie. Monday's hearing was a circus. Reyes's committee room packed with press. C-SPAN lights baking me like a suspect. I testified steady. Voice carrying the weight of 2 lives, shadow vile sins. Dad's complicity. The human toll. Questions flew, hostile from Harlan allies, probing from reformers. MS. Harlan. Was this motivated by personal grudge? A GOP staffer sneered. I met his eye. Grudge? Try grief for the innocents. And the father I thought I knew. Applause rippled. Reyes beaming. By recess. Indictments whispered. But controversy brewed. That night, a source close to the family leaked to TMZ, Alina's unstable history of breakdowns. My old therapist's notes. Subpoenaed and twisted. Protests erupted outside my temp office, Harlan loyalists chanting traitor, with signs doctored from my prom pic. Marcus pulled me aside. Deepfakes now, videos splicing her testimony with psych evals. They're painting you unhinged. Paranoia crept. I slept with a bat by the bed. Shadows lengthening. The twist hit like lightning. Jake's email. Hacked by Marcus's contact. Dad's clean, Alina's the mole. She fabricated shadow veil for the payout. Payout?
What?
Digging revealed the gut trencher. In my old life. Post-suicide attempt. Dad had spun a narrative. I was troubled, seeking inheritance via scandal. He'd back-channeled with lawyers, positioning Jake as savior. But the real bomb? Mom's diary. Digitized by a nosy housekeeper. Entries confessing she knew about Shadow Veil years back. Even suggested quieting leaks. And me? She'd dose my coffee that final night, lacing it with extras to help you sleep, pushing me over the edge. Not suicide, murder. Maternal mercy killing to protect the family image. Rage reborn. I confronted her alone at a neutral Starbucks in Scarsdale. The kind of place where lattes cost therapy sessions. She sipped her matcha. Composed. Alina. Darling. It was mercy. You were unraveling, talking indictments, dragging us down. I slid printouts across. The toxicology from my autopsy. Traces matching her pill stash. Mercy? You poisoned your daughter. Her facade cracked. Tears real. Richard Hart. I couldn't lose him too. Jake needed the legacy. Legacy. The word I'd chased.
Now, Ash.
I didn't call cops. That was too clean. Instead, I fed it to Reyes, anonymized. With Mom's emails timestamped. The hearing's second day, new evidence implicates family principles. Mom's arrest mid-morning. Live on every feed, handcuffs clicking as she wailed, "My babies." Jake folded next. Plea deal for immunity. Spilling Dad's deeper ties to foreign brokers.
Dad?
He lawyered up, but the board ousted him. Empire in receivership. Through it, the controversy raged, op-eds decrying family implosion porn, supporters crowning Me Too for whistleblowers. Death threats pinged my inbox. I relocated to a safe house upstate. Marcus crashing on the couch like a grizzly guard dog. But the tension peaked at the sentencing, federal courthouse in Foley Square. Autumn leaves swirling like confetti for the damned. Dad in orange.
Gaunt.
No silver fox left. Mom in pearls. Defiant. Jake. Snitching suit. Avoiding my eyes. The judge's gavel fell. Dad. 15 years for fraud. Mom. 10 for manslaughter. Jake. 5 with time served. As marshals led them out, Dad paused, chains rattling. Alina. Forgive. Our eyes locked, mine steel, his shattered. Forgiveness is for the living.
Dad.
You killed that chance. The door clanged, final as my old drop. Outside. Press mobbed, but I slipped through with Marcus. Air crisp with possibility. No happy ending scripted, no tearful reunions. No prodigal return. But freedom? That was mine. Testimonies spawning bills. Reforms curbing AI overreach. I started a consultancy. Harlan Legacy Rebuilt. Mentoring whistleblowers. Dates with a barista named Leo, who laughed at my dark jokes. Life. Unscripted. Yet in quiet nights, the hook lingers. What if I'd stayed silent? The noose's whisper reminds, better the hunter than the hunted. Months post-sentencing, the dust settled into a strange normalcy. The kind where scars itch but don't reopen. Upstate air was cleaner than Brooklyn's grit. My cabin rental, a creaky A-frame off Route 17, nestled in woods that whispered secrets better than any therapist. Marcus had decamped to Florida, chasing sun and senility, but he zoomed weekly, griping about gators while I updated him on client wins. Shadowvile's dead. Kid, Pentagon scrapped it. Reyes's bill passed 60-40. You built that. Yeah. But victories feel hollow when your bloodline's the cautionary tale. The media circus morphed into true crime fodder, podcasts dissecting the Harlan Fall, Netflix sniffing for rights. I dodged most, but one interview with a podcaster named Riley Voss, all empathy and edge, cracked the dam. Over mics in an Albany coffee shop, steam rising like ghosts, she asked the unaskable. Alina, the betrayal, your own mother dosing you. How do you process that without hate consuming you? I paused, spoon clinking mug. Hate's fuel, Riley. It got me here. But processing? That's the rebuild, therapy. Runs in the rain. Writing letters I burn. Unspoken. The what if of a world where Dad's speech was just words. Not a eulogy. Speaking of, the viral clip resurfaced quarterly. Fodder for anniversary think pieces. The speech that sank an empire. Viewers dissected my interruption like Zapruder film, frame by frame fury. Comments ranged, "Queen shit," to "cunt ruined her family." Controversy's currency. I cashed it into speaking gigs at tech ethics conferences, TEDx stages where suits nodded sagely at the cost of corporate lies. But the tension simmered domestic, letters from prison. Dad scrawled, "Please, I was wrong. Read the enclosures." Enclosures. Old photos. My baby book annotations. Alina's first step toward greatness. Crocodile tears. Or genuine rot unearthed. I visited once. Supermax in upstate Otisville. The Drive a Meditation in Gray. Visitation room. Plexiglass divide. Phones greasy from desperate grips. Dad shuffled in. Pauncher. Hair thinning to wisps. You came. No warmth. Just fact. I picked up the receiver. Voice neutral. Closure. What's in the letters? He leaned close. Breath fogging plastic. Regret.
Kid.
Shadow veil. I greenlit it post. 9/11 panic. Thought I was saving lives. But the framing? That was Jake's innovation. Proactive neutralization, he called it. I shut it down twice. He looped Mom in for damage control. Twist upon twist. Jake. The puppet master? Mom's dosing. His idea? Why tell me now? I pressed. Knuckles white. Dad's eyes. Once commanding.
Pleaded.
Because you're the only Harlan left with a soul. I buried your VP offer. Feared you'd eclipse me. Ego. Alina. Pure poison. The admission hung. A noose of its own. And the speech. He winced. Scripted by Jake. Bait to discredit you if leaks hit. I ad-libbed the independent bit. Trying to soften. Too late. Rage flickered. But pity doused it. Not absolution, never that, but understanding's bitter pill. Rot in peace. Dad, I said. Hanging up. The walkout felt lighter. Chains invisible. Back home, the real high stakes played out. A civil suit from Shadow Veil victims' families, naming me as key witness for restitution. Depositions dragged, tearful testimonies of raids gone wrong. A father's voice cracking over his son's wrongful death. MS. Harlan. You knew since when? Their lawyer grilled. Long enough to die for it, I replied.
Raw.
We won. $200 million settlement. Funneled to a victims fund I chaired. Controversy spiked. Whistleblower profiteer, screeds in the Post. But checks cleared. Apologies landed. One widow hugged me post-verdict. You gave us justice. That's profit enough. Jake's reckoning was slimiest. Out on parole after 18 months. He slithered into my orbit via a reconciliation email. Sis. Therapies opened my eyes. Coffee. I met him in neutral Buffalo. A diner off the thruway where pancakes drown sins. He looked deflated, buzz cut. Track suit. No Rolex gleam. I was wrong. Ambition blinded me. Shadow Veil? My baby.
Yeah.
Thought it made us gods. Confession poured. He'd forged the framing code. Pocketed bonuses. Even tipped off the hit on a leaker in Yemen. Mom's dosing? She hesitated. I pushed. For the family, I said. Chills. Why confess? He shrugged. Eyes darting.
Guilt. And.
Leverage. Feds cut a deal if I flip on bigger fish. Russian cutouts in Dad's deals. Bigger fish. The web widened. Indictments rippling to oligarchs. Senators. Jake walked. Informant crown intact. But I saw the fracture. A man unmade by his mirror. Forgive me, he echoed Dad. I stir my coffee. Black. Forgiveness is earned.
Jake.
Start by testifying, for them, not you. He nodded. Broken. Last I heard, he's in witness protection. Flipping burgers in Ohio.
Poetic.
Mom's end was quietest, early release for good behavior, hospice-bound with pancreatic shadows. She called from a facility in Connecticut, voice frail as tissue. Alina. Visit. I did. Driving through nor'easters. The cabin emptying without her ghost. Her room. Beeping monitors. Photos of us beach days. Holidays unscarred. I loved you, she whispered. Hand skeletal in mine. Loved the image more. I corrected. Gentle. The dosing, why? Tears tracked.
Fear.
You shining light on the dark. I couldn't bear the family fracturing. Maternal calculus.
Cold as math.
We talked till morphine blurred recipes. Regrets. Write our story, she urged. The real one. I did. Ashes scattered in the Hudson at dawn. With them gone, Dad's appeals denied. Passing in Gen Pop obscurity, Mom fading gentle, Jake vanished, the tension uncoiled. I sold the consultancy, banked the windfall, bought the cabin outright. Leo moved in, barista turned bar owner, with tattoos mapping adventures and a laugh that thawed winters. We hiked Catskills trails, him oblivious to my scars till one night, fire crackling, I spilled the noose, the speech, the rebirth. He listened, no pity, just badass origin story. What's next chapter?
Kids?
Maybe. A dog named Shadow. Ironic guardian. But the hook lingers, that cosmic glitch. Late nights. I wonder, was it truly rebirth? Or madness manifest? Therapy calls it PTSD with a side of survivor's guilt. I call it grace. The world changed, AI ethics laws bearing my name. Whistleblower protections beefed. Controversy? It simmers, annual op-eds debating. Was Alina hero or avenger? I keynote now. Voice steady. Betrayals the spark, truth's the blaze. Choose your fire. Last October. Gala anniversary. I hosted my own, small, Woods Edge. Survivors and allies toasting under stars. No podiums, just stories. Marcus toasted. To Alina, the one who dropped the mic. Not the rope. Laughter echoed.
Free.
Dad's speech, ancient history, a scar that stories. In this life, I breathe easy. But if time glitches again, I do it sharper, fiercer. Once bitten, forever hunter.